Hello students, I am Chetan Swarup, faculty Mechanical Engineering Department, United College of Engineering and Research. In previous video we have seen different types of brake, and in this part of video we are going to discuss about the stability of any vehicle, or you can say effect of braking on vehicle, and we will also see the different types of dynamometers which are used to measure the power being transmitted through a shaft. Okay, so the next topic we are going to discuss is the effect of braking. That means when a vehicle is moving on a flat surface, then after applying a brake on front wheel, rear wheel, or on the all four wheels, what will be the effect of the overall effect of the braking that we are going to find in this topic, right? So for that, consider a vehicle which is moving up on an inclined plane. So in this figure which is drawn here, you consider a vehicle which is moving upwards on a inclined plane, and the angle of inclination is alpha from horizontal, right? So this vehicle is such that it is a four-wheeler car or any vehicle which is moving upwards, right? So these pair of wheels are front wheel and these pair of wheels are rear wheel, right? So in this situation, let's consider several parameters, like let capital M be the mass of vehicle, alpha be the angle of inclination of the plane with horizontal, RA and RB be the reaction forces at front and rear wheels from the ground, right? Reaction forces of the ground on the wheels. Let small f be the retardation of vehicle after braking. When you have applied the brake, the vehicle will retard, and let's say this f is the retardation of vehicle. L is the wheel base of the car, means the distance between front and rear wheels, that is the wheelbase, or the axles of front and rear wheels is known as wheelbase, right? Let h be the height of center of mass of the vehicle from the inclined surface. That's mean, let's say this point G to be the center of mass, and the height of this point G, or the center of mass, from the surface on which this vehicle is rolling or moving, the height is h. Okay, so this is the height, vertical height from the surface at which it is moving. Let x be the distance of center of the mass from rear axle. X is the distance of this center of mass from rear wheel, right? तो rear wheel से जो center of mass of vehicle की जो distance है, that is x, and mu be the coefficient of friction between the ground and the tires, right? So in this situation we will consider equilibrium of forces, equilibrium of moments, and we will find values of various forces which are acting on this vehicle, right? Okay, so for that, let me draw the coordinate system. We are assuming that x coordinate is along the line on which the vehicle is moving, and y coordinate is perpendicular to that surface on which vehicle is moving, right? So for the equilibrium of vehicle, we can consider summation f along x and y to be 0, right? So we will apply this equilibrium condition on all the wheels, and then we will see what is the value of various forces acting on the vehicle. Okay, so let's first consider the case uh, when brakes are applied to the rear wheels only, right? So in the discussion which we are going to follow, in that the brakes will be applied to the rear wheel only, right? Okay, so for the equilibrium of forces which are acting in y direction, we are considering, so y direction, let me write it again. This direction we are considering x, and this direction we are considering y. So forces in y direction will be reaction force at wheels. Okay, so Ra and Rb, which are the reaction force on front and rear wheels, right? And the center of mass, at center of mass, the mass of the vehicle will be acting, right? So the mass of vehicle, let's say this is mg, which is mass of vehicle, right? So I am going to resolve this mass of vehicle along the vertical line or the y axis, right? So this vehicle is making an angle alpha from horizontal, and that's why this line will also make a angle alpha from vertical, right? So we can write for that, just wait, yeah, we can write for that mu into beta, mu into Rb. Okay, so mu into Rb is the frictional force which is acting in on the rear wheel, right? Friction force which is acting on the rear wheel, as we have applied brake on rear wheel only, that's why we are considering the friction force acting on rear wheel only. So mu into Rb plus mg sine alpha, the component in x direction of the vehicle, mass of vehicle will be mg sine alpha, right? Plus mg sine alpha will be equal to mass into acceleration or retardation, whatever you want to say, retardation of the vehicle, right? So this is the forces, summation of all the forces acting in x direction, and this is the equation 1 gives you the summation of all the forces which are acting in y direction, right? Okay, so let's take the equilibrium of moments also same way. Okay, so for equilibrium of moment we will consider the reaction forces at both the wheels and the friction force, right? So Rb is acting at a distance x from the center of mass of the vehicle, right? We are taking the moment about center of mass. So Rb multiplied by x, this will try to rotate this vehicle along the counterclockwise direction, right? Or clockwise direction, sorry. So, and this mu Rb, which is the friction force acting on the rear wheel, when we will take moment of this about g or center of mass, it will also try to rotate it in clockwise direction, so plus of mu Rb into h. Then we will take reaction force of front wheel, which is Ra, and this reaction force will try to rotate the vehicle around center of mass in counterclockwise direction, right? That's why we have taken this as minus. So minus Ra into what is the distance? L minus x, right? So L minus x. So this is the equilibrium condition for the vehicle, right? Okay, so from after solving all these equations, we can find the value of f, right? So let's see how we are doing. So from equation 1 I can write Ra is equal to mg cos alpha minus Rb, right? Let's put this value in equation number 3. We will get Rb times x minus mu Rb into h minus Ra की वैल्यू रखी आपने यहाँ पे times L minus x, right? This, from this equation you will get the value of Rb, right? So the value of Rb after solving, you will get this mg cos alpha into L minus x divided by L plus mu h. Okay, put this value in equation 2 and you will get the value of retardation, which is f, small f, right? So we have put the value of RB into equation number 2, and after solving that you get the value of retardation here. Sorry. So value of retardation will be this expression, right? Okay, so let's move further, and this was the value of retardation when the ground is level, or you can say the vehicle is moving in flat ground. Then the value of alpha will be 0, and you can put the value of alpha into cos of alpha and tan of alpha, and in that case you will get the value of retardation force as F is equal to G times mu L minus X plus L plus L minus X divided by L plus mu H, right? Okay, so when vehicle is this case vehicle was moving on a flat surface, right, which is a horizontal surface. Okay, next case will be when vehicle will be moving downwards or downhill, right? So in that case the value of tan alpha, when you will solve like a previous case, the value of tan alpha will be negative only, right? Because the mg force which was acting in opposite direction will now act in other direction, right? So from same procedure you will get the value of retardation force for a downwards moving vehicle, like this expression. So these are three expressions of retardation. You need to remember these three, and this will be helpful in solving the examples. So this is for a vehicle moving upwards. This is a vehicle moving on horizontal. Okay, and this is a vehicle which is moving downwards. Okay, down, uphill or downhill you can say, right? Okay, let's move further and see the situation when vehicle is when brakes are applied on a front wheel. So in previous case we have applied brake in rear wheel, and now we are applying the brake in front wheel. So the only change will be the friction force. The friction force in previous case we have considered for rear wheel, in this case we will consider for front wheel. Okay, right. So similarly we are taking equilibrium of forces in x and y direction and moment. So we have written the equations. So these are very straightforward equations. Ra plus Rb is equal to mg cos alpha, that is same as the previous case. This is the equilibrium of forces in y direction. This is y direction and this is x direction. So this is summation of fy, right? Okay, and this is summation of fx. So fx के केस में क्या होगा, जो x डायरेक्शन में फोर्स लगेगा दैट विल बी फ्रिक्शन फोर्स ऑन द फ्रंट व्हील प्लस mg sin of alpha which is in this direction, and that will be equal to mass into acceleration or retardation of the vehicle which is in front wheel, in the direction of front wheel, right? Okay, so this was the equilibrium of forces. Now taking equilibrium of moments about the G. So Rb times x. Rb is the reaction force on rear wheel. Rp times x plus mu into Ra times h, mu into Ra times h minus Ra, which is the vehicle reaction force on front wheel, right? Ra into L minus x. So everything is same, just a change is here. When mu Ra is the friction force acting on the front wheel, right? Everything else is same as the previous case. So after solving these three equations which we have solved in previous case also, you will get the value of retardation force. So I am not going to explain. First you have got value of Ra, from this you have got value of Rb, and after solving that you will get the value of retardation force. So value of retardation force will be G cos of alpha times mu x divided by L minus mu h plus tan alpha, right? So this is the case when vehicle is moving uphill, okay, right? So in case when vehicle is moving on a horizontal plane, you will get the value of retardation like this, okay. The value of retardation will be same as the previous case. Sorry, this it will be given by this expression, F is equal to G times mu x divided by L minus mu h, okay. So the change is here, you can see in previous case it was this expression, and in this case it is this expression, right? So you have to remember all these formulas, okay. Next, when vehicle is moving down plane or downhill, you will find the value of retardation given by this formula, right? So this is the value of retardation for uphill and downhill, okay, when the braking is applied on front or rear wheel, right? Okay, let's consider the situation when brake is applied on all four wheels. So when brake is applied on all four wheels, you will consider the friction force of all the four wheels, okay. That is the only thing that will be changed here, right? So we are writing equation for equilibrium of forces in y and x direction from summation of Fy is equal to 0, you will get this Ra plus Rb is equal to mg cos alpha, and from summation of Fx or forces in x direction, you will get the value of mu times Ra plus mu times Rb. See here, now Ra and Rb both are considered, okay. So mu Ra plus mu Rb plus mg sin alpha, which is acting downwards, is equal to mf, that is the mass into retardation of vehicle, okay. Now after solving this, you will get the value of retardation force, right? Okay, when the vehicle is moving on a horizontal plane, this value of retardation, this value of alpha you can put as 0, and then value of retardation will be G times mu, okay. And when vehicle is moving downhill or down plane, you will get the value of tan theta as a negative sign, right, with a negative sign. So this is the changes which are happening. This is for uphill, this is for flat surface, and this is for down plane, right? So these are the three formulas which will be used to solve the numerical based on stability of vehicle or braking or the braking of vehicles, right? Effect of brakings. So let's solve some numerical problems. Okay, so this is the first numerical which we are going to take. A vehicle having a wheelbase of 3.2 meter, that means the distance between front and rear axles is 3.2 meters, and its center of mass at 1.4 meter from rear wheel. So the value of x, that was the center of mass from the rear wheel, distance of center of mass from rear wheel is 1.4 meter, and 55 mm from the ground level. So it is 55 mm from above from the ground level, that is value of h. It moves on a level ground at a speed of 54 km per hour. Determine the distance moved by the car before coming to rest on applying the brake to the first rear wheels, front wheel, and all four wheels, right? The friction coefficient is given as 0.5. So So this is very simple for problem, and we can direct by using direct formulas we can find the values of retardation and then try to find the value of s or the distance it has moved. Okay, so let's see how this is solved. Okay, so in this case vehicle is moving on a horizontal plane, right? So let's assume that s is the distance which the car has moved before coming to the rest, right, after applying the brake. So first we will calculate the initial speed of the vehicle in meter per second. So it is given as 54 kilometer per hour, and by dividing it with 36,000 we can get the value of speed initial speed in meter per second, right? So that comes to be 15 meter per second. That was the initial speed of the vehicle, right? Okay, so let's consider the case when brakes are applied on rear wheel only. So in first case the value of retardation will be given by this formula: F is equal to mu L minus X divided by L plus mu H times G, right? Okay, so put all the value which is given. G is equal to 9.81. The value of friction coefficient is given as 0.5, and L is the wheelbase, that is 3.2 meters. X is the distance of center of gravity from rear wheel, that is L, that is 1.4 meter. And the value of L in denominator is 3.2 plus 0.5 times H. H was the 55 mm, right? So we have put all these values in meters. So the value of retardation is coming to be 2.54 meters per second square, right? So now once we have retardation, by using the basic equations of motion, we can use the we can find the distance traveled by the vehicle before coming to the rest, right? So you know, you must be familiar with this formula: v square, which is the final velocity of vehicle, minus u square, that is the initial velocity of vehicle, is equal to 2 fs, and f is retardation, that's why we have written minus 2 fs, right? So let's put the value of v is equal to 0, u will be 15 meter per second, and value of f you have already found, and s you need to determine, right? So from this formula you will get the value of s as 44.3 meter, right? So this was the first case when brakes were applied on rear wheel only. So in next case similarly we will use the formula for the retardation when the value of when the brakes are applied on the front wheel, right? So the value of f is in that case is given by g times mu x divided by L minus mu h. Put all these value and you will get the value of retardation, which is the rate of retardation, right? Rate of retardation is coming to be 2.35 meter per second square. And in same formula, when you will put the value of initial velocity and retardation, you will get the value of distance which vehicle has moved before coming to the rest. So in second case, when brakes are applied on front wheel, the vehicle will move to 47.9 meters before coming to rest. Similarly, consider the formula of retardation for a vehicle when all the four wheels are under braking, right? So f watch g times u, that is the initial velocity. So retardation की वैल्यू आपको मिल गया 4.9 meter per second square. Put all the value in this formula and you will get the value of distance which the vehicle must have moved. So in this case vehicle has moved 22.9 meters before coming to the rest, right? So this type of problems will be asked and you can solve very easily once if you remember the formula for retardation of all the cases, right? Okay, let's solve another problem on the same topic, and here a vehicle is moving on a road that has a slope of 15 degree, right? So in this case vehicle is moving on a slope. Okay, the wheel base is 1.6 meter and the center of mass is at say 0.72 meters from the rear wheels and 0.8 meter from the inclined plane. Okay, so the height and x, the value of x is given. The speed of the vehicle is 45 km per hour. The brakes are applied to all the four wheels. Okay, so in this case brakes are applied to all the four wheels and the friction coefficient is given as 0.4. Determine the distance moved by the vehicle before coming to rest and the time taken to do so. If it moves up the plane and down the plane. Okay, so in this case it is moving in first case it is moving upwards the plane or uphill, and in other case it is moving downhill, right? So the formula will be same, and using same more equations of motion you can find the value of s and time, right? Okay, let's see how we can solve. So first let's calculate the value of initial velocity in meter per second. So after dividing 45 kilometer with 3600 you will get the value of initial velocity as 12.5 meters per second, right? Using the same equations here also we will first see that retardation is given by this formula and when it is moving uphill, right? So when it is moving uphill, put the values of every term. G is 9.81, cos 15, the value of alpha is 15 degree, and mu is 0.4, and tan 15 degree, right? So that gives you value of retardation as 6.33 meter per second square. If retardation, we are assuming that retardation is uniform, means the same retardation has been applied for the time when it comes to stop, right, comes to rest. So using the same formula which we have used previously, we will get the value of s, that is the distance which vehicle has moved before coming to the rest, right? To calculate the time you have another formula for motion, equation of motion, that is final velocity is equal to initial velocity minus acceleration times t, right? Here acceleration or retardation, you can put anything with proper signs, right? So it is retardation, that's why we are putting minus of f, right? So put the values of initial and final velocity and the retardation, you will get the time, and the time is 1.97 seconds, right? Okay, let's consider the second case when vehicle is moving down plane. In this case the value of retardation will be same, only there will be a change in minus sign before tan alpha, and you will get the value of retardation as 1.25 meter per second square, right? And put this in this equation of motion, you will get value of s, which is the distance traveled by vehicle before coming to stop, and in other equation after putting the value you will get the value of time, and the time is coming as 10 seconds, right? So when the vehicle is moving downhill, obviously it will take more time as the weight of vehicle is also in the direction of motion, right? So it will take obviously more time to stop, right? So it takes 10 seconds in this case. Fine, next we will see the types of dynamometers, and we will solve some numerical problems too, right? Okay, so let's see the dynamometers. A dynamometer can be thought of as a device which is used to measure the power transmitted power to be transmitted through a shaft, right? तो कोई shaft से कितना power transmit हो रहा है, that power or torque that can be measured using the dynamometer. So there are basically two types of dynamometer. One is absorption type dynamometer and other is transmission type dynamometer. In absorption type dynamometer, as the name is suggesting, it will absorb the power or the torque which is being transmitted. In other words, we can say when we are using an absorption type dynamometer, the power of any shaft, then the shaft or the transmission will be stopped, right? तो जब आप किसी एब्जॉर्प्शन टाइप डायनामोमीटर का यूज़ करके शाफ्ट की पावर या टॉर्क जो वो ट्रांसमिट कर रहा है उसको मेज़र करते हैं, तो शाफ्ट जो है वो रोटेट करना स्टॉप कर देता है एंड द होल पावर विल बी एब्सॉर्ब by the frictional torque applied by the dynamometers. Similarly, in transmission type dynamometers, I mean in transmission type dynamometers, the difference is that here it will not absorb completely, but it will absorb for measurement, and then it will allow the transmission to be happen, right? So it do not completely stops the transmission of the power, right? So there are different types of dynamometers. We will see them one by one, and the first and very basic type dynamometer is a Prony brake dynamometer. So in this dynamometer, very simple setup is there, and right, so let me explain you the setup of this dynamometer. So that dynamometer, let's say this is the shaft, this central part is the shaft which is transmitting some power, and this shaft is attached to a pulley, right? And this pulley along with the shaft is rotating with an angular velocity omega in clockwise direction, in anti-clockwise direction, right? So what you do in Prony type dynamometer, you attach a wooden block on this pulley. So these blocks which I am hatching are the wooden blocks which are with the help of some screw, nut and bolts, they are tightened on the pulley, right? And this wooden block have a lever attached to it, and on the other end of the lever you will put some weight, and the weight which we put is of an amount which can just hold this lever to a horizontal line, right? तो जितना वेट आप उतना ही वेट रखोगे वन बाय वन करके इंक्रीमेंट करते हुए, जब तक कि ये लीवर की आर्म जो है वो हॉरिजॉन्टल हो जाए टोटली, ठीक है? तो उस केस में जब लीवर की आर्म हॉरिजॉन्टल है तो जो भी पावर ट्रांसमिट हो रहा है वो कम्प्लीटली स्टॉप हो जाएगा, राइट? और स्टॉप किस वजह से होगा? ड्यू टू द पावर एब्जॉर्ब बाय दिस डायनामोमीटर, एंड पावर एब्जॉर्ब्ड इज ड्यू टू द फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स विच वुडन ब्लॉक्स हैव अप्लाइड टू द पुली। जो पुली के ऊपर वुडन ब्लॉक्स ने फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स लगाया है उसकी वजह से पूरा पावर एब्जॉर्ब हो गया है और ये पावर ट्रांसमिशन रुक गया हुआ है, ठीक है? उस कंडीशन में हम लोग इस पर इक्विलिब्रियम की कंडीशंस को लगाते हैं और वी विल सी द what is the value of power being transmitted, right? So we can write that frictional torque that is applied to the shaft is W times L, right? So W is the force which you have applied, or mg is the force which you have applied, right? So if you have put m amount of mass and the gravity is g, then mg will be the force which you have applied, right? So mg is applied at a distance L from the center of rotation, right? So कितना टॉर्क लगेगा इसकी वजह से? दैट टॉर्क विल बी mg times L, right? This mg times L will be same which the friction has applied, the torque friction has applied, right? क्योंकि देखिए यहाँ पे फ्रिक्शन इसकी वजह से शाफ्ट से डायरेक्ट कांटेक्ट में क्या है, वुडन ब्लॉक, और वुडन ब्लॉक और शाफ्ट के बीच में कैसा कनेक्शन है, एक फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स है, राइट। तो फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स की वजह से ये बैलेंस हो रहा है, ठीक है। आपने यहाँ पे वेट लगाया है एल डिस्टेंस पे, वो वेट किसकी वजह से बैलेंस हो रहा है, एक फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स की वजह से। अदरवाइज ये ट्राई क्या कर रहा था, आपका शाफ्ट इसको रोटेट करने के लिए ट्राई कर रहा था क्लॉकवाइज डायरेक्शन में, एंटी क्लॉकवाइज डायरेक्शन में, ठीक है। और जो वेट आपने mg पुट किया है, ये इसको किस डायरेक्शन में रोटेट करने की ट्राई कर रहा है, ये इसको क्लॉकवाइज डायरेक्शन में रोटेट करने की ट्राई कर रहा है। तो दोनों फोर्सेस जब बराबर हो जाएंगी तो वो इक्विलिब्रियम की कंडीशन होगी, राइट। तो फ्रिक्शन फोर्स कितना अब लग रहा है, दैट इज़ द पावर जो ट्रांसमिट हो रहा है, दैट इज़ टी टाइम्स या टॉर्क ट्रांसमिटेड बाय द मशीन times omega, right? And this torque which is being transmitted will be same as or equivalent to the mg into L, है ना, क्योंकि सेम अमाउंट ऑफ टॉर्क लगेंगे अपोजिट डायरेक्शन में, तभी ये बैलेंस में रहेगा, राइट। तो mg टॉर्क की जगह पे हमने क्या पुट कर दिया, mg into L, द वेट वी हैव पुट एंड द मोमेंट जनरेटेड ड्यू टू दैट वेट, राइट। mg into L into ओमेगा को हम लिख सकते हैं 2 pi n by 60, where n is the speed of the shaft, right. So in this expression you can see gl 2 pi by 60, this is constant for any given dynamometer, ठीक है। तो g is constant, l will be a constant for any setup, and 2 pi and 60, these are the numbers and they will be always constant. So we can replace this expression with m into n into k, small k, where k is a constant for a particular dynamometer, or we can say particular brake, because this phenomena working principle is same as the principle of brake, that's why we call it a brake also, right. Okay, so by using this formula we will find how much weight we need to put, right. Okay, so let's move to the next dynamometer, which is a belt rope brake dynamometer. This is also a absorption type dynamometer. Here the absorption is done by the friction force developed between rope which is wrapped on the pulley. So earlier we have applied friction force with the help of wooden block. Here we are applying the friction force with the help of rope, okay, which is wrapped around the pulley. Okay, now so the setup is shown here. Let's say this is the shaft which is, just wait. Okay, so this is the shaft which is mounted with the pulley, and this shaft along with the pulley is rotating in clockwise direction, right. And you have wrapped rope over this pulley, and one end of that rope is connected to a spring balance, and other end you have put some weight or some mass to apply the friction force, right. So there will be two sides, one will be the slack side of the rope and other will be the टाइट साइड ऑफ द रोप. स्लैक साइड कौन सा होता था, हम लोगों ने ऑलरेडी ब्रेक में देखा था, जो डायरेक्शन ऑफ रोटेशन की डायरेक्शन में होता है वो होता है स्लैक साइड, राइट. तो स्प्रिंग साइड में जो भी लगा हुआ है दैट विल बी स्लैक साइड, और उसके अपोजिट साइड में जो भी लगा हुआ होगा दैट विल बी टाइट साइड, राइट. ओके, सो स्लैक साइड और टाइट साइड के बीच का आपको टेंशन का डिफरेंस पता चल जाए. एक साइड का टेंशन का डिफरेंस आपको स्प्रिंग बैलेंस से मिल जाएगा और दूसरे साइड आप वेट से निकाल लेंगे, राइट. और उसको इक्वेट कर देंगे द फ्रिक्शनल टॉर्क विच इज़ अप्लाइड ऑन द ब्रेक or the dynamometer, right. This is the working principle how this is going to work, right. So let's write the equilibrium equation. So power being transmitted is torque which is being transmitted multiplied by the angular velocity, right. And this torque being transmitted we can write as the ft, that is the frictional torque multiplied by r, right. R is the radius of the pulley, okay, multiplied by omega, and this ft will be what, that will be mg minus s, okay. Mg is the mg is the reading which, or you can say the tension in tight side. So this is the tension in tight side, and S is the reading in spring balance, that is the tension in slack side, right? So mg into s, mg minus s will be the difference in the tensions in tight side and slack sides, right? That is multiplied by r, and this gives you the value of torque being transmitted. And the omega you can write in terms of speed as 2 pi n by 60, right? So here the value of mg and s is found with the help of the formula T1 by T2, that is equal to e to the power mu theta, right? This you have already studied. So let's say there is a situation when you have wrapped the rope on this pulley and the friction force is not sufficient to एब्जॉर्ब ऑल द पावर बीइंग ट्रांसमिटेड, राइट? तो जब ज़्यादा पावर ट्रांसमिट हो रही है तो आप क्या करोगे, फिर ज़्यादा रैप्स आपको करने पड़ेंगे, ठीक है? तो थीटा को इंक्रीज़ करना पड़ेगा आपको, है ना? कई बार आप वाउंड कर दोगे उसको, इस रोप को, ठीक है? जैसे पहले एक बार अगर वाउंड किया था पूरे उसको, तो 2-3 बार 4 बार जितना भी रिक्वायर्ड है उतनी बार आप उसको रैप कर दोगे, राइट? So that's why this is the formula. Using this you can find the force being the power being transmitted on the with the help of a rope brake dynamometer. Okay, next we will see a transmission type dynamometer, which is belt transmission dynamometer. Okay, so next type of dynamometer is a belt transmission dynamometer, which is a transmission type dynamometer, right? So it do not absorbs all the power, it do not stops the shaft completely, but it takes the measurement and allow the power to be transmit, right? So let's understand the construction of this type of dynamometer. In this dynamometer there is a driving pulley. Okay, so this one is a driving pulley, and this driving pulley is directly attached to the shaft which is transferring the power, right? So this driving pulley is then connected with few other pulleys, or you can say the driven pulley and two intermediate pulleys, okay, with the help of a rope, okay, or a belt. So what happens when this driving pulley will rotate? When this driving pulley will rotate, there will be two sides of the belt. One will be slack side and other will be tight side, right? So see here, when T2 is the slack side and T1 is the tight side, right? So when T2 is the belt is passing from the first intermediate pulley, which is connected to a fulcrum or a lever, and these two pulleys are connected to this lever, and the fulcrum is at the point O. Okay, this point is O, point O, right? So this fulcrum will what will happen when this, consider the pulley 1, intermediate pulley 1, right? So the forces which are acting on this pulley is T2, right? So the forces which is acting on this pulley is T2 in both sides, right, in the ropes. So the net force which will act on this pulley will be 2 times T2, right? Similarly, consider the second intermediate pulley which is on the other side, or which is on the tight side. In this pulley there will be two belts which are connected, right? And these two belts will apply a net force of 2T1 on this pulley, right? So T1, value of T1 is more than T2, that you already know. So the net force on the pulley 2 will be more than the net force acting on pulley 1, right? So what will happen, these two pulleys are now connected with a fulcrum, sorry, a lever, and this lever will try to rotate about the fulcrum, and the way it will rotate will be like this, okay, like this. So T2 is more than T1, then the net force will be T1 2 T1 minus 2 T2, right? So 2 times T1 minus T2 will be the force which will try to rotate this lever to about this fulcrum, right, about the fulcrum O. तो अब यहाँ पे क्या होगा, ये fulcrum rotate करने का try करेगा, ठीक है, but we can't allow it to rotate, right? So that's why we have applied two stops at the both above and below the lever, right, so that it is not completely rotated. So what will happen, it will rotate up and it will be stuck here, right? So now the next step is to put some weight on the other end or the effort arm of this lever, and by putting the weight we will try to lower it down, right, so that this lever is completely horizontal, right. We will put the weight such that this lever is completely horizontal, right, and now at this condition there will be equilibrium, right, and with this equilibrium condition we are applying the moments, we are taking the moments about point O, okay, or the fulcrum of the lever, right. So we can say that this mg force which is acting downwards will try to rotate this lever about the fulcrum in clockwise direction, right, and this T1 force which is force acting on pulley 2 or intermediate pulley 2 will try to rotate it in anti-clockwise direction, and the force acting on pulley intermediate pulley 1 will try to rotate it in clockwise direction about the fulcrum, right. So now we are taking the all the moments and equating with this 0, right. So mg times L minus 2 T1, okay, T1 the moment generated due to T1 was in opposite direction, so minus 2 T1 times A plus 2 T1 times A 2 plus 2 T2 times A, right, this will be 0, right. So from here we can directly measure this T1 minus T2, right. So in previous case when we were measuring T1 minus T2 we have to stop the complete transmission, but in this arrangement due to the arrangement there will be no stopping of the power transmission, right. So we can power being transmitted and we can intermediately we can measure the power, right. So from here we can find the value of T2 minus T1, that comes out to be mgl divided by 2a, okay. So here m is known to us, g is known to us, L is also known, and 2a is also known, right. So we can directly found the value of T1 minus T2, right. So the power being transmitted now can be written in terms of torque multiplied by the velocity, right. So power being transmitted is T1 minus T2 multiplied by the velocity, the linear velocity, right. So the velocity which is the velocity of rope, राइट. तो इस पुली के ऊपर जस्ट पेरीफेरी पे रोप रैप्ड है या बेल्ट रैप्ड है, ठीक है. ये बेल्ट जिस स्पीड से रोटेट करेगा दैट विल बी गिव यू द लीनियर वेलोसिटी ऑफ दिस linear velocity of the peripheral point, right. So that will be P times T1 minus T2 into V. Here we have got the value of T1 minus T2 from the measurement, right, and we can calculate, and that's why we can get the value of power being transmitted, right. So this is how this belt transmission dynamometer works, right. So next we will see an epicyclic train dynamometer. Here working principle is very much similar to the previous one, but in this case we use the gears and we balance them like in previous case and try to find the power being transmitted, right. So let's understand the arrangement of this setup also. So in epicyclic train dynamometer, the construction of which is shown here in the figure, the working principle is very much similar to the belt transmission type dynamometer, and this is also a transmission type dynamometer. That means it do not stops the power transmission while measuring the power, right. So let's see how what is the working principle of this type of dynamometer, right. So in this there is a epicyclic gear train, and first of all there is a driving wheel. This driving wheel is directly connected to the shaft which is transmitting the power, right. So let's assume that this driving wheel is rotating with an angular velocity omega in the direction of anticlockwise. So when this is rotating, it will engage with other intermediate wheel or planet wheel, which is shown by wheel C. This wheel C will rotate in a direction opposite to this, right. So this driving wheel will apply a force F on this planet wheel, right. Okay, so this planet wheel is then connected or is engaged with an annular wheel B, which is the driven wheel, right. So this annular wheel will rotate according to the motion of the intermediate planet wheel, that is wheel C. So it will rotate in the same direction, right. So if it is rotating in this direction, it will also rotate in this direction, right. So that's why it will apply a force, reaction force. This annular wheel will apply a reaction force on this intermediate or planet wheel on the opposite side of the motion, right. So on the planet wheel there will be total two forces acting, and these forces are due to the engaged gears, or you can say driving wheel A and driven wheel B, right. So the total force which is acting on this planet wheel or the intermediate wheel will be 2F. This planet wheel is now mounted on a lever which is connected to the center of rotation of the driving wheel, right, and the center of rotation acts like a fulcrum for this lever, right. So when the force 2F is applied on this planet wheel, it will try to rotate the whole system in the direction, it will try to rotate in the anti-clockwise direction, right. So you have to balance. In order to measure the power being transmitted, you have to keep this lever horizontal like in previous case. So what we do, we put some weight, and by measuring that weight we can measure the power being transmitted. So let's say the mg was the total weight which we have uh, placed for balancing this lever, right, and the distance of this intermediate wheel from the fulcrum of lever is A, and the distance of this effort point, or at the point which you have put the weight, is L from the fulcrum of lever, right. So let's balance the moment about the fulcrum of the lever. So 2F times A is the force which is acting on the intermediate wheel, and that must be equal to the moment produced by the weight which you have put to balance this, right. So 2F A will be equal to W times L. So from here we can find the value of F, or the force which is acting on the intermediate shaft, right. So now we can write the equation of torque which is being transmitted. The torque will be given by the force which is acting at the periphery of the driving wheel multiplied by the radius of the driving wheel, right. So the power being transmitted is given by F into R. Okay. Now this power being transmitted uh, this torque being transmitted can be equated with the power. Okay, the power which is being transmitted is given in terms of torque and the speed of rotation as p is equal to omega times t, right. So put the values of torque which you have found, that is F into R. So that F into R is multiplied by omega, that is 2 pi n times 60. Here F is known to us in terms of the parameters of the dynamometer, like weight is known, L is known, and A is the known parameters, right. So everything is known, and only this way you can find the power being transmitted, right. So this is how this uh, epicyclic train type dynamometer works, and with the help of this equation you can find the power being transmitted. Okay, we will solve some problems on this in our next video, and we will also discuss this in the discussion classes. Fine, thank you.